If you're an author using AI to make your covers, your promo images, or your ads, there's a new European rule landing August 2nd that decides when you have to tell people this was made by AI. And a lot of online takes get it wrong. So let's actually walk through what it means for your cover, your book's insides, your paid ads, and your social posts. This new rule is Article 50 of the EU AI Act. It covers rules around disclosing when content has been made with AI. I'll do my best to keep it plain, and I'll flag where the law is still in draft, so you know what's solid and what might move. Quick disclaimer, I'm not your lawyer. This is general info. All right, let's go. Almost everything in Article 50's AI transparency rules comes down to two words, deployer and deepfake. Get these two right, and the rest will just fall into place. First, deployer. The rule applies to you when you use an AI system in a professional capacity. As an author running a business, that's you. But there are two carve-outs. Personal, non-professional use is out, so a random person posting a fun AI selfie isn't covered, and merely resharing or reposting someone else's AI content doesn't make you the responsible party either. The duty attaches to whoever actually generated the image with the tool and deployed it. So the trigger is actually the making part of it and putting it out into the world, not just resharing something that already exists. Second is deepfake. Under the Act, this is broader than something like celebrity face swaps. It's AI generated image, audio, or video that looks like it could be real, that would falsely appear authentic. Here's the key line for authors. A photorealistic person who is completely invented still counts because they plausibly could exist. But a stylized or clearly impossible art like illustrations, paintings, fantasy creatures, anything obviously not a photo falls outside. The test is realism, not whether or not the character is fictional. So, a rule of thumb all the way through this video, photorealistic is covered by the law, stylized content outside the law. Tattoo that on your brain. One more concept that's going to save you a lot of grief, artistic exception. When the AI content is part of an evidently creative or fictional work, you still disclose, but the bar drops to a light, non-intrusive note. Think like a credit line, not a giant warning stamped across the art. The catch, the work has to be obviously creative to the viewer. So hold that thought because it matters for the next part. So scenario one, your book cover with an AI generated person on it. Two questions. Is it a deep fake? And remember, deep fake here doesn't mean faking somebody else. It just means, does it look like a person who plausibly could exist? If the figure is photorealistic, then yes, it's a deep fake, even if the character is invented. If it's an illustration or stylized art, no, you're in the clear. Second question, who's the deployer? If you generated the cover in your author business, the duty is yours. If a cover or a designer or agency generated with AI, technically they're deployer, but guidance isn't clear on how this would actually work. And I think that the person who publishes the work and puts it out into the world is going to be considered the deployer in the eyes of the law and have the onus of disclosure put on them because the person who made the image has no way to actually disclose other than to put it right on the image, which you don't want for your book cover. Now, the relief. A novel cover is the textbook evidently artistic work. So even when it's in scope, like I said, you don't need that giant AI generated badge across your beautiful cover. A discrete line on the copyright page in the credits or the product metadata satisfies it. Quiet and not loud. If you are actually a cover designer or an agency, you may actually need to put it in your contract with authors that they make this disclosure in the credits, because if the law determines that you are the deployer and you didn't ensure that the notice was given that it was AI work or AI was involved in the work, then you would actually be on the hook. So something to consider there. Bottom line for covers, photorealistic equals a small disclosure in the credits, stylized cover, nothing. It's fine. Scenario two, the content inside your book. Two flavors here, images and text, and they're treated differently. Remember, this is AI disclosure. This isn't just art. Interior images work exactly like the cover. Photorealistic AI illustration in your novel, it's in scope, but it's an evidently artistic work. So credit page note covers you. Stylized interior art, that's outside the rules. Text is where it splits. The text disclosure piece only targets AI generated text, published to inform the public on matters of public interest. A novel is not that. Fiction doesn't trigger the text rule. Like, that's it. You're fine. So AI assisted prose in your thriller, not caught here. But if you write nonfiction on public interest topics like politics, health, current events, and you publish AI generated text on the subjects, that can fall under the rule. But there's a big escape hatch. If a human reviews the text and takes editorial responsibility for the content, the disclosure duty falls away. As an author, you're almost certainly reviewing your own book. So for most of you, this is a non-issue, but just know that line exists. That if you wanted to make a claim saying like, hey, I didn't say that and AI said it, then that disclosure needs to be there. If you're going to back up what you put in your book, and it's nonfiction, then you're fine. All right. So scenario 3, paid advertising. And here's the thing people miss. Article 50 doesn't actually say the word advertising anywhere. It talks about deployers and deepfakes. So if paid content you post online for your book uses a photorealistic AI person, that's deepfake content you generated as a pro, it's in scope and it needs a disclosure. And now the artistic exception does not rescue you here with ads. A straight commercial ad isn't evidently artistic or fictional work. It's marketing. So you can't lean on the discrete credit treatment the way you could for the cover. For a photorealistic AI ad, plan on a clear, visible AI disclosure, not a buried one, which means like on the image. One gray area, if your ad is literally just your fictional cover art, then the line blurs. I think that it becomes obvious then that it is a fictional thing and it wouldn't be covered. But, again, I am not your lawyer. But of course, paid ads are your highest disclosure zone. Treat photorealistic AI in ads as label it clearly. Scenario 4, and this is the one that surprises authors the most. Your organic social media posts, not ads, just your normal posting. Remember, Article 50 doesn't mention ads. It doesn't care about paid versus free. It cares about whether a professional generated a deep fake. So when your author business posts a photorealistic AI image, it could be a fake photo of you, an AI character, a realistic scene that's in the same footing as a paid ad. The paid versus organic line that matters on New York's law doesn't exist for the EU rule. The reassurance, this is about content you generate. Resharing a fan's AI art or someone else's meme doesn't make you the deployer, and a generally personal non-business account is outside the professional trigger. But your brand feed doing marketing, treat it like advertising. Worth noting, many jurisdictions will consider your personal account a business account if you use it to advertise products. So just because you're like, hey, this is my personal account, that's not necessarily get out of jail free card. You might need to consult additional guidance on that. All right. So for social media, if your business made it and it's photorealistic, you should disclose it, even though no one's paying for the placement. All right. So let's turn this into a checklist you can actually use. That's going to be down in the description. 1, inventory where your business generates photorealistic AI imagery. Covers, interior art, ads, social, that's your risk area. Stylized art, relax, it's mostly outside. 2, for covers and interior fiction art, quiet disclosure line on the copyright page, you're all set. 3, for ads and promotional social media posts with photorealistic AI people, use a clear, visible AI disclosure. This is a strict zone. Of note, it's expected that in June, we will get more details about what that visual AI disclosure is supposed to look like. 4, if you outsource cover or marketing design, put disclosure in the contract. Who generated it, who labels it. And this is actually more for the agency than for the author side, but many authors also do cover art as well as a side gig. Keep an eye on that calendar. The deployer rule starts August 2nd. There is also a separate provider watermarking piece that requires the actual AI generating tools to watermark them. That comes into play December 2nd. 2 honest caveats, though. This is on draft commission guidelines from May 2026. So the fine print could still shift before August. If it does, I'll be updating you because I'm following all this stuff now. Also, this is a European rule. It applies to people in Europe. The real question here is how the EU will treat foreign people publishing books and doing postings in the EU. Will they consider this to be in scope or out of scope? I think out of scope, but there is sort of a question like how will Amazon view it as far as books are concerned? Will they start disclosing? I don't know the answer to that question yet. That's something that we're definitely going to watch. Also, the US has its own patchwork of laws. The New York law about disclosure and ads is already live. California has one in the works. So hopefully, if this saved you a panic Google, please subscribe. I'm tracking these laws as they land, and I'll drop the checklist in the description, like I said. And tell me in the comments, are you team photorealistic or are you team stylized covers? And I'll see you in the next one.